viewers, this is the exclusive on Wonderland Television. I am Sumaya Abubakar, and on this edition we'll be talking to a special guest, a distinguished personality, the former HOD of Political Science and Administration of YOBE State University. He has been with the present administration of YOBE State Government since day one. Don't go nowhere, and when we come back, we will introduce to you our guest for today. Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is the exclusive on Wonderland Television. And today we will be talking to our special guest, Dr. Ali Ibrahim Abbas. He is the YOBE State Focal Person and Coordinator. Welcome on board, sir.
Thank you so much.
So congratulations on your new appointment.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah. So you represent the Focal. Just tell us what your office represents.
Well, Alhamdulillah, Northeast Development Commission is the commission that is recently established, assented by Mr. President 6 months ago to look into the issues of how the Northeast that has been devastated by the Boko Haram insurgency for at least a decade now, how this commission will come in to resettle, reintegrate, reconstruct and rehabilitate the people and communities of that area so that they can go back to their normal ways of life with a dignity and peace, unity and harmony. And so generally, the Northeast Development Commission was established to address these long issues of challenges in the region. And my office is established as the state focal person and coordinator of YOBE State, which in itself is being appointed or nominated by His Excellency, the Executive Governor of YOBE State, Honorable Memalabuni, meaning every program and activity of the Northeast Development Commission that is going to be carried out in YOBE State will be spearheaded and coordinated by my office. This generally is what we are going to be doing for so many years to come, inshallah.
Okay, so your office would report all the activities of the Northeast to your state?
Yeah, we are like in between the state government and the federal government. You know, mostly the federal government makes appointment, you know, in the olden days, but it has recently realized that it is not the best way to go. You have federal government interventions at state and local government level. The best way, the smartest way to go is to allow the state governors to decide who will spearhead the federal government's intervention within their domain. The new approach and understanding is that the state governors understand their basic problem, they understand where the people are coming from, and they also understand what are the basic priorities of their people. And it is based on this premise that the state governors are allowed, you know, to nominate who will serve as their focal person, as well as the coordinator of the state in terms of delivering the mandate of the Northeast at their respective states. And that is why I am to serve as the YOBE State Focal Person and Coordinator for the Northeast Development Commission in our YOBE State.
That's really wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So as a focal person for your state, of course, what impact does this commission have? What impact would they impact on your state, YOBE State? Well,
generally, if you look at the whole mandate of the Northeast Development Commission, it's something that is very comprehensive, something that is quite far-reaching if all the goals and ambitions of the commission is to be established. It is a multi-sectoral approach, intervention, in terms of health, in terms of education, in terms of infrastructure, road, bridges, you know, in terms of social services, hospitals, schools, palaces, you know, places of worship, in terms of agriculture, in terms of youth empowerment, women. It's generally a socio-economic, you know, approach to addressing developmental challenges. Generally, we are going to be dealing with 3 key issues, you know, categorized into various clusters. Number one, we are going to be dealing with peace building and stabilization. As you are aware, we are still battling with some remnants of Boko Haram insurgencies around most of this northeastern state. That is to say, we still have a lot of work to do in terms of peace building and security stabilization in the area. That is number one, which we are going to continue to partner and work with all the security architecture in all the domain. Number two, we are going to also be looking at the issues that has to do with humanitarian interventions. Sometimes you have attacks, sometimes you have natural disasters, things that can be addressed. You need relief assistance, you need relief material to this group of people. The third one is the development aspect, which will have to do with the reconstruction, rehabilitation, and resettlement of people and communities. That is to say, these three areas will be interwoven and integrated at the same time, approaching development through a unified system, as well as the understanding that each state of the Northeast has its own unique and peculiar challenges. And through this approach, through the focal persons we will be submitting, these are our areas of intervention that we feel that should be addressed, and the national body of the Northeast Development Commission will be providing the necessary logistics and support that we may need when it comes to basic implementations and process at the state level. So generally in YOBE State, we have a lot of packages, interventions that we have in place, which is referred to as the YOBE State Stabilization and Development Master Plan, which encompasses all of these areas that I've mentioned earlier. We'll be taking them one after another, gradually but surely, inshallah. As the time goes, we start unveiling some of these programs and activities, and I believe it's going to be for the benefit of the ordinary people who are mostly hit by the insurgency of Boko Haram. Yeah.
Well, that's really wide, but you said you people are going to talk about these things. That means you haven't really started dealing with the issues now. Well,
we are already on course now. Like I said, the commission was just established 5 to 6 months ago. When you want to address issues that have been taking place since the creation of Nigeria, remember when Northeast was established, when Nigeria was established in 1960, this northeastern state that was sort of carved out of the previous northern region has always shown the bitter side of the opposite of Nigeria's development, indices. We have always been at the backlog of, healthcare challenges, maternal mortality, poor, access to quality healthcare, high number of illiteracy that we have, high rate of unemployment, insecurity, so many challenges. The Northeast has always been at the back burner of development challenges. Now, added to that, now we have an over 10 years brutal attacks, destruction, displacements of people and communities by Boko Haram. This means it's a lot of challenges. And therefore, for us to have a robust and comprehensive development plan, we have to sit down, have a careful plan, well-articulated plans that are going to be far-reaching, plans that are not only going to be for short-term solutions, but also for a long-term solution. What we are doing at the moment is to engage with critical stakeholders. We are trying to reach the ordinary people at the lowest level of the society who have been directly hit by this Boko Haram insurgency. We are trying to understand what are their basic needs and how can we address them. So at the moment, we have started some, some remedial, some small interventions, but the major activities, the major programs, by January, inshallah, 2020, we will start rolling out rapid development plans, which the people will begin to see the presence and will begin to feel the impact of the Northeast Development Commission across the state. I am assuring you, YOBE State, we have an executive governor who is himself also an internally displaced person, so to say. So he has a very deep understanding of the impact of Boko Haram. So that means the people, with the leadership we have in the state, we will have the best way and the best approach to address most of these challenges that we have, inshallah.
That's really interesting. Well, let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue from where we start. Welcome back from the break. Well, Dr. Ali Ibrahim Abbas, before we went on a break, you were telling us you told us a lot about the Northeast Development Commission and your office as well. So according to a recent publication, the crisis in the northeastern part of Nigeria has earned the region a place among the most dangerous places for tourists.
Yeah.
So in the world, not only in Nigeria, we're talking about the world. How does your commission or the commission intend to change this narrative?
Well, generally, insecurity is always associated with, sending away investors, tourists, and so many other development opportunities that community will provide. Northeast in itself is a place that has always been with these challenges. And I remember there was a time under President Jonathan Goodluck when Nigeria was rated among the second most dangerous nation on earth. And that is associated with the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeastern region. Now, what the Northeast Development Commission is doing, especially in YOBE State, is to look at what areas of advantages do we have when it comes to investment opportunities. And I can tell you, YOBE, for instance, has all the opportunities that we require to take YOBE to the next level. When the executive governor of YOBE State, His Excellency Honorable Malabuni, came on board, one project that he insisted we must complete is the YOBE International Cargo Airport. The reason to have that is because, number one, YOBE is an agrarian state. We produce so many things that we are always the first in Nigeria. We produce the largest livestock in Nigeria. We have the largest cattle market in West Africa. We have the arable land that we can produce any kind of crops, whether in the rainy season or in the dry season. So we're going to use that airport. Whatever we produce in the agricultural sector is going to be exported across the world. Now, there are so many tourist sites and attractions in YOBE State. We have the Dofne Canoe, which was discovered so many years ago in YOBE State, that has lived for many, many thousands of years. It was discovered, I think, 10 or less years ago. This will serve as a tourist attraction. We have the Gazargamu Emirate, which has also its own history of the May Idris Aloma, the dynasty of the former Borno Empire. That also is a tourist attraction. We have the Bade Fishing Festival, which also is another tourist attraction. We have the Machina Daba, among several others. For us to have the tourists and other investors to come to YOBE, number one, we have to stabilize the security situation, which I believe the governor of YOBE State has recently distributed a large number of Toyota Hilux, to security. That has always been the tradition. There has always been assistance and logistic support to the security apparatus, because we so much believe without peace and stability in the state, there is no way you can't be talking about investors coming in or even tourism. So what we are doing at the moment is to make sure that we have a stable peace in the society. Then while we are trying to work on that, the current administration of His Excellency Honorable Balabuni is also working on reviving our many years abandoned industries. He is at the moment revitalizing some of these industries so that we can produce goods and services and sell to the international community. I so much believe with the current political commitment and dedication with the governor and his team, I am sure in few years to come, YOBE will be a haven of investors. It will be one of the best and the safest areas for investors to come and invest in Nigeria, because we have all the investment opportunities. All the environment is there, just that we need to stabilize it for a moment for them to come in and invest. Yeah.
So you are emphasizing on making this the country, or should I say the region, you're insisting on making it stable, peaceful.
Yes.
That's it. But what steps are you going to follow? What step is the Northeast Northeast Development Commission going to follow in order to achieve that stability that we keep talking about?
Well, at the moment, I will speak only for YOBE, because that's my main area. At the moment, I know the state government has always engaged, the security apparatus, the army, the police, DSS, and the rest of the security architecture. We understand that they play a major role when it comes to securing our lives and properties. But we also believe that they cannot do it alone, because the insecurity in Nigeria today is overwhelmed. It's almost everywhere. There's nowhere that in Nigeria today you can safely say if it is safe to live or invest. Having said that, we are only working at the moment to see how the state government will invest in the security conditions. You know, make YOBE safe for investors and for its citizens to thrive at the same time. Now, for us at the Northeast Development Commission, one of our major responsibilities is to coordinate and harmonize all the activities and engagements of the security, especially when it comes to engagements with the civil populace. One function, one responsibility of the Commission at the state level is to interface between the civil populace and the military populace in a way that there will be peace building, confidence building, and harmonization, so that the people who are the ordinary citizens that the security are trying to protect will have a say when it comes to providing information, engaging the security, giving them all the necessary support that they require. And at the same time, the military and the security also need the support of the local populace, because they have to work in harmony. Because the security is not only the responsibility of the security men alone, it is a collective responsibility that all of us will have to work as a team to see that we have a peaceful and prosperous society for all of us to thrive.
That's true. Well, the encounter between the troops and the terrorists at Buniyadi, I don't know if I pronounced it well.
Yeah, Buniyadi, yes.
Okay, Buniyadi in is it
Gujuba? Gujuba, yes.
Oh, good. We need to learn. Gujuba local government on Saturday, 21st December, right?
Yeah.
That led to the death of about four soldiers, four military persons, and then 5 Boko Haram members.
Yeah.
As does the Northeast Development Commission have any role to play on situations like this?
Well, the attack at Buniyadi Gujuba local government is something that is quite unfortunate. We all are aware that the Boko Haram always attack when they want to show their presence, so to say that we are still alive or we are still active. You know, it's merely propaganda. But I can categorically tell you that the strength, the power of Boko Haram has been drastically reduced to the barest minimum. What we are dealing with at the moment is a remnant of Boko Haram that will always be trying to show their presence. Recently, just yesterday, the Boko Haram attempted to infiltrate Damaturu from the Geshua axis, you know, from the Babangida axis, which has always been known to be their route, because that connects the Damasak and some areas of Borno State, where they have it as a safe passage. And this in itself is the third time, a recent time, that the Boko Haram is attacking from that angle. Now, there are reported, media reported casualties of especially the Boko Haram terrorists. A large number of them had been killed. A large cage of arms had been recovered by the military. And on that note, I want to commend the effort of the security, especially the army, who has always be there to protect the lives and property. But I must also say, this defense mechanism will have to be upscaled, because we do not always have to wait until the Boko Haram attacks. The news shouldn't be repelled. When they repel, of course it is success, but we don't always have to wait the Boko Haram to be repelled. They can. We don't have to be always on the defensive. So I am calling on the military, while commending them at the same time, that we should be proactive in trying to go to their enclosures, attack them, so that the people will have their ways and means of livelihood not being tempered as a result of this Boko Haram insurgency. Now, coming back to your question, the Northeast Development Commission, particularly in YOBE State, I know we've been making effort to, number one, identify the victims, how many people are killed, how many people are attacked, how many people are injured, how many people are displaced. And it is based on these records that we are working to see how we can always assist. If there are injured people, we go in to take care of their medical bills. If there are people that are killed, we go in there to provide succor, relief materials and assistance to their family, provide psychological support and what have you. So we understand that the military are playing a major role in other security apparatus. And for them to be gingered, for them to be encouraged, it means they have to be motivated, they have to be supported. And we are doing everything within available resources and means to continue to work and partner with them so that all of us will have this peace that we have always been dreaming to have in YOBE and in the Northeastern region.
Well, that's true, Dr. Ali. Let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue. Welcome back from the break. Don't forget, this is the exclusive here on Wonderland Television, and I am your host, Sumaya Abubakar. Well, Dr. Ali Abbas, I just like your name, Dr. Ali Ibrahim Abbas.
Thank you. It's a very unique name.
It is.
Many people do tell me that the name is somehow unique. I like it. Thank you.
Well, it's not the first time.
Yeah.
So, coming back to the Northeast Development Commission.
Yes.
Does the commission have anything to do with providing education, healthcare, wealth creation, even reconstruction and resettlement?
Well, generally, this is the main reason why the commission itself was established.
Okay.
You know, if you look at the 3 R's of reconstruction, rehabilitation, and settlement, like I said earlier on, the Northeast Development Commission is a multi-sectoral intervention approach by the federal government at the state level, which we are at the moment piloting. Number one, let us take education.
Okay.
Recently, His Excellency Governor Malabuni, when he was sworn in as the Executive Governor of YOBE State 29 May 2019, he declared state of emergency on education sector. He believes that education is the fulcrum of development. Without education, there's no way any society can develop. And over the years, YOBE State has always been tagged as one of the educationally disadvantaged states. And for us, we understand that development is tied to education from all aspects. Now, one of the key fundamental area of our intervention in YOBE State is education. Now, having in mind that the state of emergency has been declared in the education sector, His Excellency Honorable Malabuni is looking at various multifaceted approach to education. Number one, we know there are large number of our health facilities that have been destroyed. To put it in number, over 600, public buildings only in the education sector had been destroyed by the Boko Haram insurgency. That's a huge number, which is the most hit sector in the state. Now, we are looking at how we are going to reconstruct, rehabilitate most of these education facilities. It's classrooms, it's the libraries, it's the hostel accommodation, it's the laboratories, and what have you. Number two, recently there has been, under the state of emergency, screening and verification and teachers audit of the entire YOBE State. What we are going to do in YOBE is not like what the Kaduna State government has done when it comes to screening of teachers. Okay. The committee has already submitted its interim report. Now, for those teachers that we feel are not qualified after the screening, these teachers will be transferred or moved to their other respective MDs that we feel they could add value to. Okay. And the gap they will create, we will employ new teachers. But at the same time, even having the teachers that we feel are qualified, we know there are modern teaching and learning methodologies that is needed because the world is now metamorphosing into the ICT age. So we are planning at the Northeast Development Commission to have training that will serve the purpose of training and equipping education policymakers and planners, that will train education administrators, that will train our teachers in the classroom. This, we believe, with an empowered and well-motivated teachers, we will address some of these issues. Now, after the screening, the government is also looking at how they will increase their salaries because we have teachers who have continued to lay their life to serve our kids every day. We have to encourage them, we have to motivate them by giving them a good salary package. Apart from that, the state government, through the Northeast Development Commission, is also looking at providing special scholarship scheme for indigent youths, especially those that have excelled. we are looking at our environment, we are looking at the opportunities that we have in the environment so that the people will be trained based on the specific and particular needs of our environment and the global need that we may have. These and many more are some of the few intervention plans we have in the education sector. Now, if you come back to the health sector, YOBE state is majorly a rural state. That means access and affordability of healthcare in rural areas is going to be of paramount importance. And it is based on this moment that, number one, we are going to renovate most of the health facilities that we have in the state. The state government has done so much when it comes to upgrading of these hospitals. The reminder that has not been addressed yet, we are identifying them, and we're going to intervene in rebuilding general hospitals that were destroyed. Areas that do not have general hospital, especially local governments that do not have existing general hospital, we will build new hospitals for them. Where they have comprehensive health centers, we will upgrade these comprehensive health centers to general hospitals. Our plan is to have in YOBE where each local government headquarters should have a general hospital. At the same time, we are looking at the primary healthcare centers, which are majorly in the rural areas. At least the focus and plan of the YOBE state government is to have at least one functional primary healthcare in each of the 178 political wards in YOBE state. And in all of these, we are looking at the development plan of YOBE state government. We are working closely with all the line ministries to see how we can identify them and support and provide these services. The third one is the agriculture. Like I said earlier, YOBE is an agrarian state. And we have a vast of opportunities in livestock, in fishing, in farming, rearing, so many other things that we can do. Now, the YOBE state government, through the Northeast Development Commission, is also looking at how can we improve our agricultural practice from the old traditional, system, crude system of agriculture to a modernized and mechanized and a smart way of doing agriculture. And you don't necessarily have to have, heavy machines, before you can improve this. You can have light, sophisticated machines, light, smart machines that can process agricultural produce. We are also looking at the opportunities that is bound in the state, especially in terms of advantages of the areas that we feel certain number of crops or certain types of crops should be produced. Our infrastructure, especially if you look at the public buildings, school, barracks, places of worships, palaces, there are police stations, local government offices and authorities. These are areas that we will all be intervening. And if we do all of that, we have to also look at the youth and the women. You remember most of these challenges that we are having as a result of Boko Haram is because of the large number of unemployed youth that we have in our society. And therefore, the Northeast Development Commission, under the leadership of His Excellency in YOBE State, we are trying to see how we can identify traits and skills that we know are of advantage in the state so that we will scale up people that are already engaged. People who are not engaged, we will try to engage them, give them some certain number of kind of training, give them some seed fund to start up their small businesses and the rest. These, among several others, are some of the intervention plans we are having, and already we are working on the nitty-gritty, and by January, inshallah, we will start rolling out most of these plans. So we are, at the moment, engaging the key critical stakeholders, especially at the local level, to understand what are those things that they need most so that we can provide these solutions and address it once and for all, inshallah.
Oh, that's really good to know. And we from here, I'm wishing you a good luck. I'm wishing the Northeast Development Commission good luck on the success.
And your best state.
Oh, and your best state, of
yes,
course. Thank you so much for being with us. Well, we've come to the end of today's edition on the exclusive here on Wonderland Television. Until next time, I still remain your host, Sumaya Abubakar, and I say bye-bye.